In chess, chess players are ranked according to performance ratings. And now the Armageddon game starting between Magnus Carlsen and WEI. I'm happy to, continue explaining these statistics, but I can imagine that our viewers want to see this action.
And they want to see whether the 3,000 rating performance will show on the board. WEI has the white pieces. He has more time. He starts with 10 minutes, but black has draw odds and 7 minutes starting time. So more time for white, but draw odds for black. Here in the studio, we predicted that Magnus wins. There's 3 votes for Magnus. I voted for WEI. So let's see. Let's see who's going to be right. Christian.
Well, it's too early to tell right now, Anna, but we did see somewhat of a surprise coming from white from WEI. Did not start with knight to f3, which we've seen in so many games, but he started with bishop to c4. Second move, bishop to c4, getting the bishop out first. Now, what this incentivized black to do was to go c6 to try to look at ideas of d5 and get the center like that, and that's exactly where we stand right now. We see this position with the pawn on c6 and d6 ready to go to d5 potentially, the pawn on c3 and the pawn on d3 ready to counter that. So this is what I'm seeing right now. It's still too early to tell who got the advantage out of the opening. I predict this is going to be somewhat of a slow game. And it does look like a Joko piano.
Slow game as in the opening and the strategy, but not slow in terms of the time control, because the players only have 9.5 minutes. That's what's left for WEI, and 6 minutes for Magnus Carlsen. There is no increment until the players reach move 40. So there's gonna be a good bit of time scramble and time pressure to look forward to.
6 minutes and counting. And it's counting fast.
Yeah.
Magnus has not played yet. This is a bit troubling because we're still very early in the game and the position is not super complex. So it surprises me that Magnus is already spending a lot of time on his decisions. Knight to f8, saying, you know what, I don't want to castle first. I want to get this knight first, either g6 or e6, and only after I will put my king to safety on g8.
Interesting choice, and that means he's saying, hey, my king is okay in the middle of the board because the position is very closed. There are no open files. There are no ways to get to the black king. I'm really curious what WEI will play and whether our bar jumping ahead and showing that white's position is getting better. It's criticizing this knight move. It's saying it's slow, Christian.
Yes. What I have to do is, as I just highlighted on the board, get the pressure going on f7. This is the weak spot in your position. And what Magnus is trying to do is cover it up with either bishop to e6 or knight to e6. The problem is after queen to b3, and you're seeing this huge battery looking at that pawn on f7, you need to cover up. You cannot cover up with the bishop, or at least it's not a good idea to do so, because you leave something behind, and that is the pawn on b7. You lose that, you lose a lot in the position. In fact, you're just simply going to be in a hopeless position. You have to cover it up with the knight, because that covers at the same time this pawn on f7 and the pawn on b7. Bishop is still there. These are the type of ideas that WEI is considering. And with this knight on e6, and there's no more bishop to g4, it covers up this diagonal. I have intentions of piling on pressure in the center with the move d4. I think this will give WEI, the Chinese, an incredible advantage out of the opening if he manages to find all of these moves.
Surely this is what he's thinking about. He has been thinking for over a minute and a half by now. Durkian, do you think that we're going to see this queen move targeting the f7 pawn and trying to take advantage of Magnus's slow maneuvering move?
It could be. I mean, what I find interesting is that WEI, he was in fact the first crown prince that Magnus ever named. When he was, well, the first 15-year-old who crossed 2,700, and then Magnus, he said, well, that is a potential world champion contender. He hasn't, well, he hasn't fully lived up to that. But
but he's living up to the queen bishop battery at least, and the attack. He is going for Magnus. He wants to beat the world #1 Magnus Carlsen.
He followed exactly the plan that we prescribed with queen b3 followed by d4 to set up this pressure in the center, and Magnus said, you know what, queen c7, what I'm looking at maybe is not even going for the short castle. There you have it, short castle. I was thinking maybe he even wants to go long castle, hide the king on the other side. But he decides for short castle, and this is what we have right now. How do you continue increasing the pressure. I just want to point out the fact that WEI, he's spending too much time. He's burning too much of his clock right now.
He started with 3 extra minutes, and right now it's only a minute of advantage. So he is burning his time advantage, and Black has draw odds. This is the Armageddon game. It's crucial that he speeds up. Time is one of the biggest factors here for White.
That's his advantage. The position, as you can see, is quite balanced, but he does have a big advantage. Well, he had a big advantage on the clock. Right now, only about a minute or so left from that advantage.
He pushes the pawn.
A4.
And Magnus stops the white pawn from being able to push further.
There might be some problems with this move. This advance for Black leaves behind a lot of squares, specifically that square b6, and he goes for it. Knight to c4, he's looking, eyeing that square intently right now. WEI, not only that, but the knight on c4 is also looking at the square in the center, pawn on e5. This one is looking good, guys. The pressure is mounting on the Norwegian.
I'm feeling good about my prediction. I mean, I'm usually not good at predicting results, but hey, I mean, WEI's got all the chances, doesn't he?
He's looking good right now.
Mehmet, what do you think when it comes to your human intuition without the bar? Just you and your thoughts when you look at this game.
Yeah, I was thinking, you know, this looks like a blitz game, you know, to me, which makes sense. And WEI is trying to keep up the pressure. So yeah, it's like, you know, to me it looks like a very complicated position. I don't know where to put my rook. I would probably put b8, you know, rather than a7.
He went for it. Yep.
This seems to be natural. The knight, white knight there on b6 looks really good to me. So it's sort of, you know, protected by the queen, and the dark squared bishop can protect it later as well, if need be. But for now, there is no need for that.
That's why I think Black should probably go bishop d8. Say, you know what, I don't like this knight on b6. Kick it backwards with a move bishop to d8. I don't want to give you the opportunity to go bishop e3 and d5, what you said, to defend this knight on b6. Cement it with the help of your bishop. I don't want to give you that opportunity. Bishop d8 right now.
Is it
backwards.
What Magnus is about to play? He was going to reach for a piece, and then he pulled his arm back.
Yep.
Bishop to d8.
Yep.
Yeah.
He played it.
Yeah.
And the trade. The knight was attacked, it had to retreat, or it had to capture the bishop. So now White has the pair of bishops, which we consider a long-term advantage.
To be honest, White has the pair of bishops, also has the central control. So I'm liking this one, at least from a practical perspective, also from an objective perspective. Right now, it is White who has the advantage. He has the advantage and the edge on the clock as well. 5 minutes against 3 minutes 53. Pressure is on Magnus, but Magnus, I mean, if anybody can defend this type of positions and get out of this danger, it's him.
He's surely highly motivated to do so. Durkan, you already highlighted how the first encounter between the two of them was an Armageddon win for WEI, and Magnus usually doesn't like those things. He wants to correct the score.
Well, it looks great for White, but you feel that he needs a knockout at some point, because if Magnus stays in the game, I mean, he's a great fighter, and at some point it will be his turn. For some reason, I still have full faith in Magnus.
I think we can understand that. World number one, and for such a long time, Magnus Carlsen has been the king of Armageddon throughout Norway chess history. He's trying to trade queens.
By the way, you might be looking on the right screen, side of your screen, on those funny looking lines. That means when you see a bar that it's all the way in White's advantage, that means White has a great advantage in that respective game, and that's Nakamura versus Gukesh right there.
We'll go there after the Armageddon, of course, because this is huge. The reigning World Chess Champion could very well be in huge trouble today against Hikaru Nakamura. Is the world number one in trouble? Now, that's the question in this Armageddon game.
Let's see, knight to e4. The knight jumps in the center. I like this idea for Black. I like this idea and the sequence that we've seen from Magnus. d5, strike in the center, wait for the response, and then plant a knight, a beautiful knight, in the middle of the board.
And now he's improving his bishop so that the rooks are connected and his bishop can get to an active square that Christian is highlighting in the white's position. What is the plan here for WEI? How can he strike?
He would love to be able to remove this knight for just 1 second and play the move f3, attack this knight with the pawn, but that's not just simply going to be possible. The knight does not have any squares. If you go to d2 back, well, I'm going to have the opportunity of exchanging that knight, so you don't have enough time and enough opportunities to go f3, and that's why he goes this move rook to d1. Now what he wants to do is get the knight on e1 and then go for this move f3. This is my anticipation. This is why I think he's going to go for.
I think that's exactly what he's looking at. Durkian, how do you see here?
Well, look at the time.
Oh, I mean, the time! There's no more advantage. You're right.
Yeah, they're almost equal now, and that will put, well, extra pressure on the WEI, I'm afraid.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's a very good point, that white's time advantage is gone. Are we going to see that knight retreat, or is he thinking of pushing maybe the h-pawn? We have seen that move, the alpha zero move, so many times as well. Queen goes back. Oh, what is the plan?
And Magnus is ahead in time.
Magnus is ahead on the clock and now is taking his chance to take the initiative, pushes his pawn.
Yeah. See?
Takes in the center. Very tense moment. There could be a discovered attack if black doesn't do something about that queen.
And that's why he should be placing that bishop in front of the other bishop on this diagonal so that the queen is protected and everything is increased. The action of the bishop and the queen on that diagonal is just going to be unbeatable. Bishop to c5 right now is giving Magnus a tremendous position. Let's see if he finds it.
He is thinking, and I guess that's a good sign for WEI that Magnus is now also burning some time.
Yes.
It does look like a very natural move to make.
It is.
Even to an amateur eye, but of course they are calculating several moves ahead, and you know.
It is indeed, and it is somewhat surprising that he's spending so much time, Magnus, but as you pointed out, bishop c5 is natural. He just believes that there's other things.
Okay, so he calculated the knight trade and then he wants to go there with the bishop?
100%. And he does. Let's not forget, Magnus has a draw in his pocket.
Yes, he's got draw odds.
If he makes a draw, he wins the match. That's all he wants. He wants to get that extra half a point. If he makes a draw, he wins this match. That's why he's exchanging so many pieces right now.
That's a very good strategy to have in Armageddon, because you do have the draw odds with black, as Christian highlighted, and it's getting harder and harder for WEI to keep the game going. You need some kind of an imbalance. You need some dynamic moment, some initiative, something to play for. But can he find it? What is the plan?
I don't see it, Anna. I don't see it, because f3, I will take on d4, and then I get my knight on e6. So you don't, I just simply don't see it. Knight g5, for example, with knight to e6, that's an option as well. The only thing that strikes me at this point in time is...
He's playing it. He's playing it. Christian, let's show why that knight cannot be captured.
That is a great move, because the queen is overloaded. You have to defend the rook on d4. You cannot shy away and go on g5 and capture that knight, because the rook, well, it's more expensive than the knight. The rook is worth 5 points, the knight only 3. You don't want that trade if you are with the white pieces. Great move by Magnus. Great move by Magnus.
And he's regrouping his pieces, heading toward that highlighted square to chase the white rook away from that blockade, because that rook is blocking the pawn of black, and that pawn is a passed pawn. Black could trade queens, and black could start pushing that passed pawn.
And what he wants is exchange the queens. Magnus wants to exchange the queens. That's why WEI shies away from that diagonal. He says, you know what, once you play the move knight to e6, I don't want to keep the queen here so that you can exchange it.
And he's threatening Magnus's passed pawn, so Magnus should do something about that. Or actually, does he have to do something?
Whoa!
What? Just when we said that Magnus is okay, he's blundering his knight and he's laughing. He's laughing. You see the reaction on Magnus's face. He's now taking with the rook the white pawn. What is going on?
Oh my goodness, Magnus just did not sacrifice, blundered a piece in one move. And right now, it's probably time to resign.
Sacrificing his queen for 2 rooks of black, and he has 2 rooks and the bishop to fight against the sole black queen. Magnus Carlsen with the laugh when he blundered. He couldn't believe it.
I think Magnus is just going to resign very soon. There's not much to play for. All I have to do is coordinate my rooks on the 7th rank, get this bishop on c4 to attack the pawn on f7. Crazy. This is looking like game over. What Magnus hopes for is a perpetual check, but I just simply have too many pieces to defend everything around my king.
They're both looking up the screen because they do have screens above them where they can see how many moves they have played. From move 40, they get increment. Every time they make a move, there's a 1 second increment after completing move 40. Goodness me, what a blunder that was.
Absolutely. He's looking at getting the bishop on c4 and capturing that pawn on f7. That's everything he wants in this position. If he manages to get there, then he's just simply going to deliver the checkmate. Not that easy to get there.
WEI threatening the black pawn to give a check there, but now it's Magnus who starts giving checks. The white king is hiding from the checks.
Queen h2, Magnus is trying to hide his queen, but that's not going to help him much. After rook takes f7, rook to d6, rook f7 is coming with a checkmate to follow.
I don't think that Magnus can find a way out of this. He gives a check on the back rank.
Now my king goes to hide on a2. This is the money square right here.
He keeps looking up to know the move number. That is the money square indeed, Christian. As you said, there will be no more checks once the white king gets to the highlighted square. He moves back the king to the back rank. Magnus Carlsen trying to hide away from the checkmate pattern.
Rook to g6 followed by rook to g8. There's nothing stopping that, and Magnus knows it. We're going to see resignation right now.
What has just happened? Magnus Carlsen, just when we said that he had it, he had everything under control, that it was heading toward the draw. Christian, I think we do need to bring up that moment because it happened so quickly. What did he blunder?
Absolutely, and let's just stay with this picture for a second, seeing Magnus, obviously a very frustrated and disappointed Magnus. A happy WEI, which continues to just win almost all of his Armageddons. He did lose against Arjun, and he did lose, I think he lost against
No, he only
somebody
lost to
else.
Arjun. When
Only
he
Arjun.
has beaten every single player in the field in Armageddon, including 2 wins against Magnus Carlsen in Armageddon. What a day for China's #1.
We don't need to show this moment that made Magnus laugh. WEI just played this move, backwards queen move, queen to d2. And what Magnus was focused on was exchanging pieces. He played the move rook to c2, saying, you know what, if you take my rook, I take yours. And that's going to be a fair trade. The problem is, I can also take the knight. And right now, there's a huge difference. The rook is no longer on c8, defending the rook on d8. When you capture my rook, I capture your other rook. And at the end of it, I'm going to be a piece up. This is a basic blunder that Magnus just did. And you could see it from his reaction. He was disappointed, amused at times, but mainly disappointed in his performance.
But you know what? He is a rock star, and he is such a hero here. I'm going to add something to that in a moment, but we do have the rewind of the moment Magnus Carlsen blundered his knight, and he laughs. What else can you do when you blunder something huge? It's a big mistake by the world #1. He cannot believe it.
Yeah, well, it may be nice for social media, but at the same time, this is a lapse of concentration that, that we haven't seen from Magnus. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yes.
Something is going. He's not.
Not twice in the same tournament.
Exactly.
Right? This is the problem. We've seen that against Gukia, sure. That, the tension was very high on this one. There was not much tension on this one. Look, they're only fighting for half a point. It matters, but it's not the end of the world. Magnus just simply almost never.
And he was doing what he is best at.
Exactly.
Against Gukesh, and now again.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, there it goes out of the window, which is very unusual.
Very unusual, and we do have an interview with the man who beat Magnus Carlsen today in Armageddon, WEI.
WEI, you managed to win twice, 2 matches against Magnus Carlsen. You're the only player who has done it in the field. What are you feeling right now?
Okay, I'm always happy to beat Magnus, but I want to say sorry this time because I just play for a quick draw in the classical game because of yesterday's painful loss, and in my garden, I think he just blundered in a okay, very, I think, very solid position for black, and yeah, but, yes.
So you're feeling very sorry now for him.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, but of course you're happy also for the win.
Yes, sure.
Did you expect the classical game to finish so quickly? So you prepared something special for the Armageddon?
No, not really. I just want to be, recover after yesterday's loss, because after yesterday's loss I can't sleep well.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but so today I decided to go for a different strategy.
And tomorrow is the rest day, so you're sure going to sleep well. Wish you have a good rest tomorrow and all the best for the final 2 games.
Thank you.